Good evening, everybody out there in Chester County and on my Facebook page. Coming to you straight live as none other than me for Brother Fonz. And once again, I think we have a dynamite evening, a very informative one. So just fasten your seatbelts and just get ready because this is going to be so special. First, before I even get into the bio, I want to introduce you to Shanina Dionna. Shanina, why don't you speak to the audience and your viewers out there?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And Fonz, thank you for having me tonight.
This is going to be so stupid. But we're going to have some fun because this is what this is all about. Now, look, all my viewers out there, you know the drill. I need y'all to share this video and tag me on it so I can get it right back to me. So we can, oh, that's my grandbaby there. So we can get the viewers' comments and everything. So as you all know, I'm the chief cook and bottle washer. I do everything. So wait a minute. Iris, I need you to share this for me, okay? And while we do that, I'm going to read the bio for Miss Dion. I always have to go through this. So Shanina, don't even mind me. Let's see. There's, I can always count on Iris. That's the wrong one you shared. Stop playing. We need y'all to share the live feed for this evening. We'll get it. We'll get it. Let me see. Well, I'm gonna start, and somebody will help me out, I'm sure, out there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to introduce y'all to Shanina Dionna. Now, this young lady is real special. So now I'm gonna read this bio, right? Y'all hang in here with me, and we're gonna go through who she is, how she got here, the whole 9 yards. So with that being said, here we go. Shanina Dionna is an Oahu, Hawaii-born and Greater Philadelphia-based visual and performance artist, mental health advocate, and nonprofit youth arts educator. Since 2011, her works have built a platform raising mental health awareness through the annual Embryo art exhibition series. Her personal mental health and wellness journey through diagnosis, hospitalization, therapy, and creative healing help inform her artwork. Her stride in cultivating social change through the arts is strengthened by growing relationships with the wellness community, including the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services, a local chapter for the National Alliance on Mental Illness and Be Well, Philly in 2016. She helped found Arts Buds Philly, and that's a free youth visual arts program where she integrates expressive arts therapy into the curriculum. Currently housed at the Urban Art Gallery in West Philadelphia, she is a recipient of the Dean Collection 20 grant presented by Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys. And in March 2020, Philadelphia Magazine declared her the Philly artist who is creating a positive space for mental health conversations. Shanina Dionna currently serves as a guest lecturer for Temple University's Urban Affairs course and is in pursuit of an expressive, I said expressive, arts therapy certification in Sonoma, California. I didn't even know there was a place called Sonoma, California. You know what, you are too much. Now, wait a minute, just give me a second. We're gonna see what's going on here. Let me see if anybody's helping me out over here.
Okay.
Boom, boom. There we go, Jerry Peterson. Thank you, Jerry. Let's work this other one too. We're gonna do two things. Now, I hope, Shanina, you don't mind, because I'm not gonna hold you long, but I got 1,000 questions. There's just so much. Are you on a time limit or anything?
I'm not. I'm all yours tonight.
Oh, thank you. Okay, now first we read you were born and raised in Oahu, Hawaii. All right, that's strange enough. But what made you come to the mainland?
Okay, so my parents, both of them were Navy. And so my brother and I and my little sister, we're all Navy or military children. That's why we were in Oahu. My brother and I born on that Honolulu island on the military base. And that's the reason why we were there. And also the reason why we moved, because we had to travel with their duties, their military duties.
That's good stuff. Hey, Iris Holmes is watching, and so is Nelson Ojeda, Shanina's, because people are going to start chiming in, and every once in a while, I'm just going to stop you in mid-sentence and just acknowledge them, because I always appreciate them coming on. So now we're going to question number 2. Now, how long have you lived in the States?
Oh, all my life, with Hawaii being one of them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you presently a resident in Coatesville?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a hometown girl. Carmen Green is watching. Good evening, Carmen. It's always good to see you. This is going to be a good one, Carmen, because she's going to touch me. I can feel it already. Okay, now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I want to get right to the crust. I looked at this video interview that you had with Mike Jarrett on TV 29. I want you to tell me, give us some insight into that lovely interview, how it came about, how they even knew you existed, and what did you guys talk about?
Oh man. So Mike Jarrett, it's actually a very funny story, the way that I met him. So that was, I met him in the end of 2015 or 2016. I just remember it being New Year's Eve, and I was on my way to a service, but I needed to get some money from an ATM at a Rite Aid in Center City, Philly. So I went to go get some cash from the ATM, and there was this white guy standing behind me waiting to get his money. And I just kind of looked at him over my shoulder, my peripheral, like, dang, sis, you need to hurry up at this ATM. And so once I was done with the ATM, I left, and I told the white guy, who I didn't know at the time, forgive me for taking too long, or something like that. And then I did like a double take, and I was like, hey, and it ended up being him. And I was like, I know you. And he was like, well, hey, what's your name? And I was like, Shanina Dionna, and so he said, should I know you? And I don't know what came over me, but something said seize that moment. And I was also preparing for, I think, my 5th exhibition, Embryo exhibition at the time. So I was like, yeah, I think it'd be nice for you to know me. So he shared with me his number, and yeah, the rest is history. He followed up with me that March of 2016, I think, or 17, with my first interview, and then did a follow-up interview with me in 2018, just to kind of share my progress from the former interview that we did together. So yeah, it was kind of quirky how we met, but by happenstance, just happened to be at the right place at the right time, I suppose.
Hey, that's how God works, though. Sometimes I'm telling you, you couldn't have planned that. Trust me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that y'all met each other, now what was the main thrust of your interview?
Sorry, say that again.
What was the main thrust of your interview? What was it centered around?
Yeah, so it was my mental health journey. It was my first time kind of publicly sharing what I've been dealing with since childhood, and my artistry. It was really about my artistry and the Embryo, the annual Embryo art exhibition series, and what that's centered around being disability justice, social change, and of course, mental health and wellness. And so, yeah, he provided that opportunity for my first time to kind of share that publicly and kind of just get it out there. And that's pretty much the gist of our connection there.
But now, of course, I saw the interview like 9 or 10 times, and you were explaining that you were going through some things on a mental, because you went through mental depression, things of that nature. Tell us how that evolved, and where did that take you, and how did you combat it? Just tell us the whole story about you, because see, you're going to heal some people today, so you might as well give us all the medicine that you got. Let's go.
You got a lot of questions. I'll see if I can try to take all of that and consolidate them.
Okay.
So like many people, we don't, especially in the Black and Brown community, we don't grow up learning or hearing the terms mental health or therapy or stigma or anything like that. So for a very long time, and I can date back, I'm 32 now. I can date back to when I was 9 years old, dealing with certain neurological just discomfort, discord, But I thought that was my normal for a very, very long time. I obtained the habit of trichotillomania, which is pulling hair from the body habitually, like to the point where I would get carpal tunnel. But it was a nervous habit that, again, I didn't have the language to kind of identify what I was doing, why I was doing it. It was self-inflicting pain. I would do other things. I would resort to very dark thoughts. But again, I didn't have the vocabulary or the language to identify what this means. It was just always my normal. And I always felt like I had to hide it. And so as I got older, art was always kind of my way to speak up for myself. It was always my brave voice. I credit often my art to be my brave side, sharing visually what I would not otherwise have the courage to express verbally. I've gained over the years so stronger courage to speak verbally, but my art is still my strongest asset, and to help me communicate, what I've been dealing with since childhood. So, there would be moments where I would have what's called schizophrenic fits. I would self-inflict pain. I would have these fantasies about killing myself. I would resort to these things thinking I deserved it, thinking that, that was my only way out of certain situations. And why I would resort there, I'm still exploring that even now. But I do know that I did. And I do know that art helped save my life. It helped give me a voice. It helped give me an alternative to the habits that the toxic habits that I was self-inflicting on myself. It took for me to, just kind of fast forwarding, it took for me to get to my mid to late 20s, when I was dating someone, and they actually diagnosed me first with BPD, borderline personality disorder, not to be confused with borderline bipolar disorder. And I remember looking at them and thinking, how dare you? How dare you diagnose me with this? What do you mean? But then it got to a very toxic point in our relationship where I said, I need help. It was my first time ever saying those 3 words, I need help, and meaning it. And so I went to go get help for my first time, see a counselor, which landed me in the Belmont Behavioral Health Hospital because I shared so much information, and she thought I was a risk to myself to go home. So I had to go, but then they officially diagnosed me with BPD, not having any knowledge of what my friend at the time had shared with me. And I was like, I remember coming out and thinking, you were right, telling them that they were right. The symptoms were there, but again, I didn't have the language, I didn't have the vocabulary to identify it. So, I kind of, like a lot of people who are maybe in denial or who just maybe are not ready to hold themselves accountable for the actions that they make. I wasn't ready to receive that information. But once I got the professional, the official diagnoses, it was kind of a relief for me. It's still not something that I exactly want to claim, but it was a relief to be able to identify it and not just be this floating, my normal, oh, this is just my normal. I needed to educate myself on what it was exactly. So borderline personality disorder, depression, anxiety, all those things I have had to live with. And so the Embryo exhibition has been my way to help amplify the voices of the marginalized community who still don't have the language or the vocabulary to speak up or address or confront certain, these mental health issues, and to help destigmatize the conversation concerning mental health. Because again, I went from 9 to my late 20s. That's over a decade. I could have easily not have been here. I was suicidal for a very long time. I know young girls just from here from Coatesville who didn't make it, who did succumb to their suicidal attempts. Because the conversations weren't had, they didn't have the safe space, they didn't have those resources available or accessible to them. So Embryo helps offer that to whoever decides to support. It's a free annual exhibition every year in March, which is my birth month. I like to have it every year in March to share lessons learned prior to my next birthday. So, and it's free so that the bodies are in the door. They are exposed to the artistry. They are exposed to the resources. You know, it's easily accessible. And then you mentioned my relationship with the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. So for the past going on 4 years now, they have been so gracious to help sponsor Embryo, myself, and provide free mental health screenings during the exhibit. Nobody gets diagnosed, but you learn where you stand mentally, and they provide the resources if you choose to seek further help. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of that. Did I answer that question?
You did fantastic. Now, right now, we're going to acknowledge some of the viewers.
Okay.
Iris Holmes said, "Good evening, beautiful Shanina." Say hi to Iris.
Thank you, Iris.
Okay, Susan Springsteen is watching. Good evening, Susan.
Good evening, Susan.
Now, Destine, Sister Destine Forward is watching. Nelson Ojeda, one of my favorites, is watching. Anthony Stewart, Hope Runner Jax, Kathy Smith, Kim Pollard, who is my regular. I kind of missed you the last time, Kim. I'm going to call you Molly Fields. We got Amarlino Fields, Molly Fields.
Okay.
Claudia, it's good to see you this evening. Walt Washington, we got Tanisha Jones, we got Jordan Krantz. I've seen her earlier today, and it's good to see, and one of my favorites, Adia Graves is watching. I want to say good evening to everybody that's watching. Sister Valeria, it's good to see you over there. And Sister Valeria is the first lady of my church. She said, that's good information. That's why I'm glad she's on here. I told you was almost like medicine, but now we're going to talk about some more stuff.
Okay.
Okay, now. Okay, so what made you want to be an advocate in the areas of mental health? Or did you already answer that?
I can circle back there. So I shared this publicly not too long ago. I didn't intend to be an advocate of any kind when I started to share my artistry on a professional level. My work was solely to help heal me first, to help me kind of find my voice through the artistry, through movement, through dance, through improv, through painting, through photography. But because of the impact and influence that it had on the people who were exposed to the work, that's kind of when I kind of I felt led to take on the responsibility of advocate, because a lot of people otherwise weren't having those conversations about mental health, and they didn't know that art was a way to address that and to help heal through that as well. So it just became an organic kind of marriage between my wellness journey and then helping others with their wellness journey through my artistry. So that's pretty much how that came about, the support and the response from the people.
That is so cool. Now, we're going to get into the art part a little bit later, but I got one more question in this area. What has been your biggest challenge in advocating in this area?
What is the biggest challenge?
That's a good one.
Well, initially, it doesn't, honestly, I can't identify a challenge right now as far as advocating for wellness, because it's just in my DNA at this point. But initially, it was the risk of, it was this risk game. Like, you run the risk of sharing this information and exposing yourself, and then you are vulnerable to, I don't know, someone maybe taking advantage of that information or using it as blackmail or whatever the case, kind of just being in your own head, overthinking it, and not allowing yourself to kind of just flow and without the, relieving yourself of the inhibitions and sharing the information because it's burning in your heart, it's burning in your gut to share it. So that was my challenge initially. Like, you run the risk of it being maybe misconstrued or being taken advantage of, or, but thankfully the response has been beautiful. The response has been super supportive, and I haven't had to kind of face any of those risks in the last 9 years that I've been advocating for it. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, we're going to check in with some people. We got Miss Bongai. She is on. She's watching, and Miss Bongai, she's going to be on City Town Talk next week. Jerry Peterson Turner said, beautifully spoken. Thanks for sharing most important information. I told you we were going to have some important information. Thought I was playing. Okay, now Nelson has a question. He said, do you guys reach out to the school youth? Do you reach out to youth yet?
Yeah. So with quarantine and obviously what everything else that's going on right now, I had to kind of put on hold my program, Art Buds Philly. But Art Buds Philly is a youth arts program that I make accessible to all youth, but primarily in that West Philadelphia area, ages 8 to 13 years. So they are school aged. I am actually working on a proposal for the superintendent of the Philadelphia School District so that I can cultivate and facilitate an extension of the Art Buds Philly program into their schools. I also had a beautiful relationship before they closed down the Art Partner Studio here in Coatesville. I was working with them at for their after-school art programs at Callan, Friendship, and Kings Highway. But Art Partner Studio lost funding, so that opportunity kind of fell through. But yeah, if I'm offering online virtual experiences and art classes for youth. If anybody is interested in that, they can always email me at info@shaninadionna.com. That information is on my profile if you want to connect and learn a little bit more about that.
And we're going to talk about the Embryo in a couple of minutes. Cass Roller is good. I see you checked in. Justin Brown, it's good to see you. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, you need to Google Embryo, her Embryo art collection exhibition, because she's the real deal. She's like a real artist, not no pencil. She's real. But we're going to move on. Hey, Tara, it's good to see you. Tara Anderson, Carmen said great information. Hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, I saved these interviews for people who may want to look at it again, to glean over it. Maybe there's some things that you want to hear again that may be something for your soul. So feel free. You can go on my page, City Town Talk. I'll share it if you ask for it or whatever. Now let's talk about some of that art. Now, you know, I just checked. I done been on your Instagram page. I went on there today. I said, look at her, she can really do this thing. But now, when did you develop your love for art?
That dates back to my childhood as well. I've always been a creative spirit. I do remember, and I've shared this before in interviews, that my first time being acknowledged for my artistry, which started out actually as writing, was in 3rd grade. So I was 8 or 9, and my teacher, Mrs. Powers, when we were living in Jacksonville, Florida, Mrs. Powers at Arlington Elementary School, we had an assignment. We had to write a short story, and we had to have an illustration to accompany that story. And long story short, I remember her taking my my assignment and sharing it with the class, kind of using it as an example, as a prototype for the rest of the class. Like, this is basically how you should do your work. And then not only my classroom, but the entire 3rd grade class, so all the other classrooms that were in 3rd grade, she was taking my project and sharing it to all these other classes. And I, me at 8 or 9, you're impressionable at that age. And I'm just looking up at this old white lady like, oh, okay, there's something here, And so I'm pretty sure I kind of delved into that, into that lane, thinking, yeah, this is where I can excel in life, through artistry. If it's not going to be math or science or anything else, I can do this. So that's kind of when I first identified that I had a gift for artistry. And then, it was kind of all she wrote after that. I always excelled in artistry afterwards. It was kind of my thing.
All right, so why did you name your exhibit the Embryo? art exhibit? Where that name from?
Yeah, so you know what's funny, Fonz? When I first started to promote Embryo as Embryo, a lot of people thought I was pregnant, and I wasn't at the time. But Embryo came from the idea that I would finally be sharing what had been forming in my creative womb. So my creative womb was about to birth, you know, these things that I've been dealing with since childhood, and Embryo just seemed like a very good fit. I was actually challenged maybe three or 4 years into the annual series to change the name. Someone strongly suggested maybe you should change the name. You're no longer an embryo, and I'm like, but every year is something new that I'm sharing. You know, it just didn't feel right for me to change it, so it's been the same ever since. But yeah, that's where it derived from. Sharing what's been forming in my creative womb.
Okay. And was that the motivating force behind your creation to express what the inner you or something like that? Was that the motivating force?
Yeah. So when I talk about creative womb, I talk about all of those experiences that make me who I am. Yeah. And so you see that through the art.
Okay, now your collection, does it have a mission or a goal, your exhibit?
Yeah, so the premise is to help destigmatize the mental health conversation, and to help amplify the voices of the people who are secretly dealing with or secretly burdened with mental health issues that may not have the safe spaces to kind of have those conversations in their own communities. They can come to Embryo. It's kind of like medicine. Candy with the medicine, right? So the artistry, the art experience is like the candy, but the medicine is that conversation, you know what I mean? The elephant in the room, if you will. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
You will make me go upstairs and start drawing stuff.
Hey, let's go.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Make sure you sign and date it. I tell my students that all the time. Sign and date, no matter what you do, sign and date it.
Okay, now this is your 9th exhibit. How has it evolved over the years?
So my very first exhibit was very influenced by my academic work. I was still studying at the Illinois Institute of Art Chicago before I graduated at the Art Institute of Philadelphia in 2012. And so you saw a lot of my academic influence. You saw a lot of my art projects from school in my exhibits. And then I also added on my own like passion projects, photography projects, my own charcoal portraits that I did of maybe friends and family. And shout out to Joseph Mobley, who is my very first mentor in photography. Love him. He helped me with my first photography collaboration that was a part of my very first Embryo exhibition. Yeah, so it started off with, you know, academically influenced, photography heavy, but then it kind of grew, and charcoal portraits heavy, and then it kind of grew into paintings. And now it went from very deep, bold colors using black, and then for the last 5 years now, I haven't been using black at all. Kind of opting for the neutral palette, softer palette. Getting more into flesh tones with my body. You see, it's not. I was painting myself nude for a very long time as a form of self-love, because for a very long time also I was very insecure, chronically insecure, physically, mentally, emotionally. But now in the work, you'll see me clothed. You'll see me with a sweater on or a shirt or something like that. You see me in environmentally in a space. Like there's atmosphere. It's not just me floating in negative space in the compositions of the paintings. I keep looking because I have a painting on my wall here. So yeah, it's, you know, it's no longer just about me and my journey anymore, which is the most humbly rewarding thing of all. Because again, it's not just me sharing my story and kind of putting it in front of in front of the supporters. It's more of this kind of cultivating this experience for people, again, to just come to a safe space and have that conversation. So Embryo looks like an extension of my safe space, which is a lot of string lights, a lot of house plants, throw rugs, pillows, that kind of thing. I want the people to feel, comfortable at home, but also prepared to have that conversation.
Good stuff, good stuff. Now let me acknowledge some other people. Hey, Tara Anderson, I can see me interviewing you in the near future, so bam. Bernadette Runner, she's checked in. Carmen Green said, it would be nice to hang some of your work in City Hall. It has to be the ones with her clothes on though, Carmen. I've seen some of your pictures. Iris Holmes said, maybe in the future, we should do an art expo with all the local artists in the city. Boy, what's that sound like?
I agree. I did my very first collaborative exhibit. Shout out to my cousin, who I just learned was my cousin, Avery Thompson, who's an amazing digital artist, graphic artist. And Dane Tillman, who's like the OG artist of Coatesville.
Yeah.
I exhibited alongside both of them last year sometime for my first time ever in Coatesville. And it was beautiful. It was a lot of local artists. It was several of us, maybe like 10 of us at the church. Oh gosh, the name escapes me. Across the street from Rite Aid on Lincoln Highway, that church across the street.
Yeah.
Pastor Sherry Dietz had this art expo at her church. And that was my first time exhibiting in Coatesville and collaborating with other local artists here. So that was really cool. But yeah, I'm open to, I would love it to happen in that new Midway Arts building. Yeah. That would be really cool, yeah.
That'd be a nice studio for you up in there, right?
Yeah, we, Dane Tillman and I actually took a nice, I'm putting light on because it's getting dark. We took a tour of the space before it was open to the public, and yeah, it has some promise there. A few of my friends are tenants there now.
Good. So now I want to zero back to when you said Joe Mobley is the best. Joe Mobley helped me when I first got my camera as well. And he gave me courage to take the pictures.
Yes.
I wanted so much information, I never wanted to click the button. You just got to click the button, and then sometimes you learn from there. And you remember when I asked you, what was your aperture when you were at the basketball game, and you said, Fonz, I'm shooting at f5.6. I never forgot that. That was at Summer League.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Okay, now let's see, we're moving right along. Something, Jordan. Okay, where has your artwork been exhibited? How can someone see your exhibit? And what is your Instagram address?
Okay, well, let's get the Instagram out the way. It's my name, yes. Shanina Dionna, all one word, lowercase. My exhibitions for the last 9 years have been throughout the Philadelphia area. So every single year it's been in Philly at different galleries. It's been at the Thomas Jefferson University Hospital for a quarterly exhibition. It's been at the Ruckus Gallery. It was actually scheduled for its first time to exhibit at the Barnes Foundation in Philly this past May, but because of COVID, we had to postpone that exhibit until next year. That would have been Embryo 9 Part 2 this year. Thankfully, I was able to get Part 1 in just before the lockdown quarantine from COVID. And it was also supposed to have a Part 3 in Greece, in Athens, Greece this year for my first time. It would have been my first international exhibition for an Embryo presentation. But again, because of COVID, I had to postpone that opportunity. That platform is actually having a virtual experience, and my artwork is there, but it's basically what you'll see on my Instagram. And yeah, that opportunity is going to have to wait until 2021. But yeah, aside from that, local galleries within the Philadelphia area so far.
Good stuff. Kia Tony, thank you for tuning in. Disha Talk. Oh, you know her?
I know Kia.
Hey, Kia, she said she know you, girl.
I know Destiny as well, Destiny Forward.
Okay, but you're a hometown girl. I get it. We get it. Okay, now let's see who else I got. I gotta hit the wave on that. And the beautiful part about this conversation, when when left unabated and you just continuously talk, you be hitting all kinds of questions I ain't even gotta answer. All I gotta do is cross that stuff off. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Now, here was one. What relationships have you formed in your years of art and advocacy? Tell us some of the great groups you've been affiliated with. What great groups or organizations?
Yeah. So you mentioned him from the beautiful bio that you read. NAMI, so that's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Their local chapter in Bucks County or Berks County? Bucks County. Formed a beautiful relationship to kind of get the conversation going and build partnership for future embryo exhibitions. And I mentioned also the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. They have been on board now for 4 years, helping to sponsor Embryo and provide free resources, free mental health screenings available to everyone who attends an embryo exhibition. And local, our Target here in Exton, Pennsylvania, they for the past 2 years now have been donating items for me to help build the aesthetic and the installations for my art exhibitions. Blake Art Materials in Center City, Philadelphia has been so gracious for the last 4 years now, providing all the materials that I need to prepare new paintings, everything I need to create new massive paintings. And if you know my work and if you've been to an exhibition, an embryo exhibition, you know my works are massive. So Blake has been so gracious to provide everything I need to create those works for the last 4 years now. Oh goodness, I can't even name them all. I can't think of them all. Oh, Lowe's and Home Depot. I build my frames, and shout out also to Joe Mobley's brother, Lance Mobley, who has been this year. He was in my living room helping me kind of churn out these frames, these homemade wooden frames from wood that was donated by Lowe's and Home Depot. So I built a relationship with those businesses as well. I can't even think of them all right now, but that's to name a few. Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
You may hear my grandbaby somewhere up there. That's why I had it on mute, because she's howling. She wanted her pop-pop. And yeah, she's going to get her pop-pop too.
She's adorable, by the way. I love when you share pictures of her.
I know. I want the whole community to see her grow up.
She's beautiful.
How did it feel to get that grant or the award or whatever it is you got from Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys? How did that feel?
Oh, it was amazing. It was my very first art grants ever. I think my first art grant ever. And my very good friend, William Classic of A Classic Reinvention Idea. I don't know if he's watching, but he's amazing. Check him out. He shared it with me. I think I was taking I was kind of detoxing from social media at the time. And so I didn't see the original post from Swiss Beats offering this opportunity to artists to apply for this grant. So he did, and he sent me the link. And I was like, okay, I applied to grants like it's my 9 to 5. I am a full-time artist, so I have to support myself some way. And one of those ways are these tedious grant applications. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And the grant application was surprisingly very short. So I kind of just knocked it out after he sent it to me and didn't think much about it. And then a month went by, and I remember being here in Coatesville on my computer. I think I was applying for a job too at the time. And I got a notification and it said it was from Swiss Beats on my Instagram. And I was like, that can't be right. This must be a glitch. My phone is tripping. My phone is old. I was making all the excuses. But then I went to the post and he commented on one of my photos, congratulations, with all these trophy emojis. And all I could do, Fonz, was scream and say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I was by myself, so I couldn't really bounce my excitement off anyone. Oh, there she is. Hi. Hello.
She always want to be on City Town Talk. Hey. No, I got it because I wanted to be seen. That's okay. Good. That's Shanina Dionna. So look, Shanina, I got one last question, but not even the last question. Your hair smells good. Now, this is your opportunity. If you had to leave some words of wisdom to our viewers this evening, leave some parting comments to the viewers. Help them, give them strength, courage, inspiration, information, whatever you would like to say. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so often I get asked the question about how do you put on an art exhibition? How do you pursue art? How do you allow yourself to commit and devote your time and commit to your artistry? And often I come back to encouraging everyone to just remember their why. Remember why you're doing anything in the first place. That's going to be the motivating, driving force, the fuel behind why you're doing, what you're doing. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a vision and a plan, without a vision and a plan, the people perish, right? So if you have this goal, if you have this purpose, if you have this beautiful intention that you're in line with, this is what is burning. It's burning inside of you. Do it. Commit to it. Hold yourself accountable. Take on that responsibility, and be mindful always of your why. Because a lot of times, I'll speak for myself. A lot of times there are opportunities for you to get distracted from the why. So maybe all of the accolades, all of the press, all of the media, all the attention that you may be getting could kind of steer you from your why, like why you're doing it in the first place. But always come back to that, because that's where, your authentic voice will, remain intact. That's where your voice can be best heard. When you put fragments of yourself into the work, that resonates a lot more deeply to the people and to your audience, to your intended audience, than any superficial attempt or approach could ever do. So just be mindful of your why, hone in on your why, learn your why if you don't know what it is yet. And then once you have that, protect it, protect your focus, and you'll be in good space moving forward.
I have to mute when my baby's around. Okay, look, you have said a mouthful. I am so appreciative of the time that you spent with us this evening. You blessed me. You blessed me with what you've said. I'll listen to it again. Hopefully my listeners will listen to it. Dante Cruz, it's good to see you. You came on a little late, Melissa, but that's okay. Chris Lumpkin, you will be able to see this on a replay or just go on my page. See it. I want to say good night to you. I'm going to thank you once again. I know my viewers are appreciative. I've seen the comments, and they just think you're the best. So look, with that, I'll see you, because we have our Ash Park Commission. Me and Shanina, we're on the Ash Park Commission to kind of like help figure out what we're going to do with the park. And so we'll be together again. So look, I want you to say good night. You can sign off. You can click off your computer. I will say good night to my viewers. Thank you once again. All right, take care and God bless.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. That was really good. That's good stuff. She shared some good stuff. I appreciate her so much. And I don't have much to say because I don't have no taglines to go. What I do want you to know is we are gathering millennial generation X's and Z's, and they are coming together with a campaign to register the young voters in our community, Chester County. Because there's a young man, a pastor of my church, he made a comment one time. He said, protest without process is pointless. So we had the protest, now it's time to get involved in the process. So they're going to come together. We have Miss Aljanae Campbell, who is going to be leading it and spearheading it. We got Alan Showell, who's a part of it. Daria Turner just rang in, said she wants to be a part of it. Nadia Graves is going to be a part of it. We're going to come together, and y'all going to figure out a plan on how we're going to rock the vote this year, because it is important. As you can tell, LeBron James and them, they started their own initiative. This is the most important election of a lifetime. So look, with that being said, I want to thank all my viewers for tuning in. God bless y'all. If you have any questions, if you want to be on my show, just inbox me, give me your email address, and we'll get your bio and your picture and everything else. It has to relate to education, information, or inspiration. My show isn't a place to come on to complain about nothing, because that just ain't gonna happen. So, because that's why I create the question between the guest and me. We create a line of questions, and that's how we roll. But it's ain't to whip nobody up. It's about lifting people up. So with that being said, I want y'all to know that Coatesville is truly rising, and Black Lives Matter. Peace out.